Okay, so welcome to another episode of Wellness and Growth Journeys, Empowering Women's Health. I am your host, Mia Lisa Garnes, the owner of the Wellness Growth Agency, where we help health and wellness professionals just elevate their presence online. And today we have in our virtual studio the gorgeous Dr. Angela Holliday-Bell. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Yes, I am excited to have you because we're going to get into sleep. And sleep has become so important now that I have been getting a little bit older because we all need our sleep. We call it beauty sleep. We need the sleep so we can rest and rejuvenate. So we can get into the importance of this and how that helps us in our overall wellness. But let me read a little bit about you, Dr. Angela. You are a certified sleep specialist and physician who empowers corporate professionals to enhance performance and reduce burnout through tailored sleep strategies. Now, Dr. Angela's expertise includes authoring books on sleep health and delivering impactful sleep wellness programs for both individuals and companies. Can you share with us exactly what inspired you to specialize in sleep medicine and how it shaped your approach to wellness overall?
Yeah, definitely. So I was inspired to specialize in sleep through my own journey and struggle with insomnia. So I would like to say I'm someone who's always had a deep, loving relationship with sleep. But as I started to go through my medical training in medical school and residency, I started to suffer from insomnia. And it was absolutely one of the worst things that I've ever been through, one of the most frustrating things. And I noticed that I had become a worse version of myself. So I really started on my own quest to fix my sleep. I started by reading every book there was on sleep, started volunteering in the sleep clinic. In that process, fell in love with sleep. And as I was putting into practice the things that I was learning about, I saw my sleep and really my life change for the better. And I knew that I had to help other people do the same. And so it's really shaped my view of wellness because before my perception of wellness was really eating right and exercising.
Right.
And I was missing the key part of that and what I really feel to be the foundation upon which the other pillars of health are built. And that's really starting with good sleep.
Which is good sleep. I agree with that. And I know that our sleep patterns change throughout our life. I know because I have a little one, they have to sleep at least I think 12 hours um and it decreases as he gets older, but originally, he had to sleep a lot, but so it decreases as he get older. But then how we hear about 8 hours, but then I've heard that that's not exactly true for everybody and in each instance. So, I mean, what are your points? Was your point of view on like is there a perfect amount of hours that you have to get sleep for?
Yeah, so it varies and it depends, are really my responses. So most people I've heard the recommendation that you should get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and that is true on average. But I like to say sleep need is like shoe size. There's no one size fits all. There's an average size, but that doesn't apply to everyone. So I always recommend that people find what their individual sleep need is. For example, my sleep need is 9 hours. I know for a fact that I need now 9 hours of sleep to feel fully rested and function optimally. If I were to get the recommended 7 hours, I'm exhausted. If I get 8 hours, I'm better, but I'm certainly not functioning at my peak. So it's important for me to know that for myself, I need 9 hours. And I think it's important for everyone else to determine what their individual need is because you might not fit into that.
Right, and this would be straight 9 hours straight, like no, uninterrupted sleep. What is your view on naps? Because I've seen a few things online saying that like naps during the day. I mean, not everybody obviously would have the ability to take naps, but what maybe over the weekend, what is your view on just like having like what people call like a cat nap, a little half an hour? What's your view on that?
Yeah, love napping. It's one of my favorite things to do. Absolutely one of my favorite activities. Any days that I don't have clinical duties, I nap. I try to get it in as much as possible. I think it's great. But I always say you do have to nap responsibly. And so what
Right.
that means is utilizing naps strategically to help improve your focus, energy, mood, and mental clarity. But you have to limit them to no longer than 10 to 30 minutes, because napping longer than that can cause you to fall into the deeper stages of sleep. And when you're abruptly awakened from a deep stage of sleep, you're more likely to suffer from sleep inertia, which is a groggy, disoriented feeling that takes a long time to recover from. And you want to limit it to before 3 p.m., ideally, because if you nap too late in the day, then you steal from your sleep drive that you've been building up all day. You can make it difficult to fall asleep at night. So, although power naps are excellent, and again, one of my favorite things to do, they are no replacement for overnight sleep. So, you do want to avoid anything that's going to impact your ability to sleep overnight. And a general rule of thumb is if you're someone who's suffering from chronic insomnia, we actually recommend avoiding napping altogether, because you're so sensitive to anything that impacts your sleep drive that napping, even a short nap, even earlier in the day, can really impact your sleep a lot more than for someone else.
Okay, okay. I guess I do get that. I do know that you shouldn't nap too late, and they do say don't sleep too long because I have experienced that, like sleeping for like an hour and then waking up and feeling like tired and groggy and not like I actually had like a nice rest. Um, so so can you share or maybe discuss the common impacts of poor sleep on specifically, corporate professionals, busy professionals, and how, this could affect their work performance and overall health?
Absolutely. So sleep affects every single part of your raw functioning, mental health, and physical health. When we think about the specific impacts of sleep on your ability to perform in the workplace, sleep deficiency has been shown to affect your efficiency by decreasing it around 30 to 40%. So you're actually getting less done in the same amount of time. Your memory is impaired, your critical thinking skills, your emotional regulation. So you're much more likely to get into arguments or conflicts with coworkers. You're more likely to make accidents at work, both physical and as it relates to any task that you're performing. You have slow reaction times. It really just is horrible, all in all, for your overall performance. And then when you look at it from a health point of view, sleep deficiency increases your risk of weight gain and obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes. It increases your risk of getting sick and decreases your ability to fight infection. And then it also significantly increases your risk of mental health conditions like anxiety and depression. So we think about what is affected by sleep. There's really no facet of your life and your performance that can escape the effects of sleep deprivation.
Yeah, that I mean, I do feel that effect sometime, and I guess a lot of women do, especially a lot of busy women. And then we get like that cup of coffee to kind of like give us that boost, or fake boost, because for me it might give me like a little boost, and then like maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, then it's yeah, they crash. So um I do know that. And yes, man, when I'm tired, it takes me so long to do things. And then, like you say, more mistakes might happen, because your focus isn't completely there, right? So it really is important. I wanted to touch briefly with something else that came up, but before that, beds. Having actual rest, when you go to sleep, and me not thinking recently that the thing that you sleep on your bed might actually have an impact on um your rest and having like a restful sleep. And I've been seeing all the commercials. I don't want to call any brands because I don't want like endorse any brands or anything, but I've been seeing commercials over the years about different mattresses and pillows and that kind of thing to help you just have like a really good sleep, and things that memory foam and this and all that stuff is pretty much over my head. I don't know if you have any insight that you could add to like just having like a proper bed to sleep on when it comes to sleep.
Yeah, so it's definitely important to have a mattress that is supportive. And when people ask me what kind of mattress they should have, again, my answer is it depends, because everybody is a little bit different. So there is no mattress that's going to work perfectly for everyone. Typically, I recommend having a mattress that's going to be comfortable. So obviously, you have to feel good when you're in the bed, but also supportive of your body type and your preferred sleeping position. So if you're lying on your stomach, we generally recommend mattresses that are a little bit more firm as opposed to on your sides and things like that. You want your mattress to keep your spine in neutral alignment all throughout the night. And sometimes this may take some trial and error. So I always say, this is a place that you're spending a third of your life. It's worth the investment and the time that it takes
Exactly.
to get it right. And so
Right.
sometimes you lay on a mattress, initially it feels great, but then after a few nights or a few weeks, it starts to not feel so great. For that
Yes.
reason, a lot of mattresses have like 30-day trial periods. So I would say take advantage of that. Take your time. It's like dating, find the one that feels right for you. But it's going to be a little bit different depending on your preferred positioning, your body type, and where you need the support the most.
Yeah. And as women, I maybe let me just speak for myself. What about the 10 pillows on the bed and the
Yeah.
pillows on right? So, what are your thoughts on that and actual pillows? Like,
Yeah. Same
should
thing
you
with the
get like two?
pillows.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You want to keep your spine and neck in neutral alignment. So you want something that's going to be supportive of your neck, but not have you up too much because that can cause some neck pain and upper back
Right.
pain. That's going to be a little bit different for everyone. Again, depending on if you're sleeping on your belly, you might need a pillow that's a little bit flatter versus your
Right.
side versus your back. So a lot of it is, again, some trial and error and trying to find the one that works best for you. I typically recommend pillows that are adjustable, that allow you to take out some of the filling of and put it back in so that you
Okay.
can adjust to your comfort level. Because again, it may be hard to find something right off the rack or in the stores that's 100% suitable to you. But if you have
Yeah.
something where you can adjust that comfort level, adjust the height and the depth of the pillow, then you can help make sure that it meets your specific needs.
Yeah, because you do have a few types of different stuffings for pillows, right? I think I've
Mm-hmm.
heard like down feathers. I might
Yeah,
be calling it. And then some people
down
legit
feathers.
have
Mhm.
sponge in
Yeah,
in pillows. So and then you have the pillows that are kind of shaped like a U
exactly.
or a
Yeah, and the
C,
memory foam, and yeah, there are
memory
different materials,
foam.
but there are some pillows that are made to be adjustable. So they have it where you can open it up. They give you additional filling if you need more. So those are typically the ones that I recommend and that I gravitate towards.
Okay, okay. Well, no, well, I'm glad we cleared that up. So
Yeah.
test out your mattress and your pillow setup to make sure that you. But how do you know though? I know that yes, you would probably like lay down and you might feel comfortable, but then what is the telltale sign that well maybe not this mattress? Is it like when you wake up in the morning and
Exactly. So how are you feeling when how are you feeling when you're waking up? Is your neck stiff? Are you in pain? Do you have some aches and pains in your back or your upper neck? If that's the case and it's not really explained by anything else, I definitely recommend looking at your mattress and or your pillow.
right. Okay. Okay. Because that could be the other thing. Because I'm thinking, like, if you are getting your 8 hours, but you say yours is 9, so maybe mine would be 9. But if you're getting your 8 hours, but you still wake up feeling not rested, um, maybe also look at the mattress and your pillows and see if that might be affecting you. I know that there are other things that you could do to ensure that you have like the best sleep possible. Like I've been reading about stuff like is it melatonin? Am I yeah, that you could take before bed. I don't know if there's anything else that um, uh, you could recommend or suggest. I've heard people say you could have like chamomile tea before you go to sleep, and it could help calm you. Is there anything else? Oh, and also turn off your phone by a certain time, so to limit the screen time before you go to sleep. So those are the three that I remember, and maybe doing reading, maybe some like reading or just so before you go to sleep and to ensure that you have like the best sleep possible. Is there anything else I'm missing there?
And let me first touch on melatonin. I think it's one that is most widely known and most widely consumed. And I think melatonin can be helpful in certain circumstances. So, melatonin is a naturally produced hormone. Our brains naturally produce melatonin in response to darkness, and it helps to set the stage for sleep. It helps to reinforce our circadian rhythm or synchronize our circadian rhythm is what I should say. And so in instances when your circadian rhythm is thrown off for other reasons, like travel across time zones, or if
Right.
you're a night owl trying to adjust to a morning schedule, things like that, I think melatonin can be super helpful. Or if you're a night shift worker, you need to be able to fall asleep during the day, I think melatonin can be helpful. small dosage, short term use is great. I don't prefer it as a nightly sleep pill because, for the most part, we don't need additional melatonin. There are ways to strategically increase and boost our own melatonin release. So it can be helpful in certain situations. My absolute favorite supplement for enhancing sleep, though, is magnesium glycinate. It is magnesium is a naturally occurring mineral that we can get from foods like legumes and green leafy vegetables. It's just our diet is not super rich in those foods, and so we often tend to have magnesium deficient diets. And so you can take it in supplemental form, and it's not a sleeping pill. It's not something that's going to knock you out, but it does help to relax the mind and the muscles and just make it easier to fall asleep and promote deeper quality sleep. So I love magnesium for that reason. But then things like you mentioned, chamomile is a great way to help you relax. Certain aromatherapy scents like lavender, jasmine can be helpful as well.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned another one. Oh, reading is such a great way to help you not only relax and fall asleep, but actually has been shown to distract thoughts that might otherwise be racing and keeping you up too. So it gives your
I
brain
was just
something
gonna
else to
say,
be thinking about as you're preparing for that. So I think reading a book is a great addition to a bedtime routine.
yeah. I don't know. And people also mention journaling because that's a good way, like you say, to just empty your head of all the things that are in there spinning around because you're in there thinking, especially as an entrepreneur, you're in there, okay, what I got to do tomorrow? Oh, wait, I should do this. And your brain is just constantly going. So yeah, it would be good to like empty all those thoughts out by journaling and so that you have a clearer mind when you go to sleep. Because I was gonna ask that. I mean, a lot of business professional women, they have a lot on their minds, right? Business wise and personal and that kind of thing. And I remember a few years ago, when it got to like crunch time, at the job that I was at, like I couldn't fall asleep because my mind was just constantly racing. And I remember just I don't know, it just came to me like maybe if I play like the sound of the rain or the ocean, like that would help to relax me. And it really worked. Like I just put that on. Like I found like a YouTube video that was like 8 hours long. And I just like put it on and like try to close on the laptop so the light was off but I could still hear it. And that actually really worked for me and just like calmed me. And I wasn't thinking about anything. I was able to drift off because that is a real thing that some people kind of suffer with when there's a lot of stress and a lot of decisions to be made and a lot of tasks when it comes to their job.
You're correct. For a lot of people, especially busy, women who wear a lot of hats and roles, it can definitely be difficult to fall asleep due to just racing thoughts. As you mentioned, journaling can be super helpful. We call it a worry diary or a brain dump, where you just set aside 10 to 20 minutes to just write down all the things that come to your mind. Because what often happens is we're so busy throughout our days, we don't actually give our brains a chance to process thoughts that come in. They just kind of come and go because we're busy doing other things. And so it utilizes the distraction free time at night to then try to process those thoughts. So you want to combat that by giving your brain a chance and a time dedicated to processing thoughts and journaling all the things that come to your mind, to do lists, specific action items next to it. And then, as you mentioned, throwing on some audio when you're sleeping, specifically a sleep story or a guided meditation, can be another great way to distract those thoughts because it's giving your brain something else to think about. You're following along with something without it requiring too much mental energy. And now you just don't have space and opportunity for those thoughts to come in. And the thoughts that is guiding you along and the sounds along with it are more conducive to sleep. So it's easier to fall asleep when you're kind of distracting your brain in that way about thinking about something else.
Okay, okay. Well, yeah, that's good. I also remember that this is a couple of years ago too. There was a theory going around that if you went to sleep like listening to different languages, I don't know how true. I don't know if you heard it, but if you went to sleep like listening to like a different language like that kind of um is kind of implants itself into your brain. I don't know. I never tried it. I,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the stats on that. What I do know is a lot of learning and memory consolidation occurs while you're sleeping. And so the thought is utilizing those processes to learn new things. I do know that if you are learning information right before going to sleep. So you learn some new information during the day and then you have an adequate amount of sleep at night, you're more likely to remember that information and to actually have that in your long-term memory than if you don't sleep or if you don't get enough sleep. So memory
Right.
definitely, or sleep definitely does contribute to memory and learning, maybe in the subconscious as you're sleeping as well. I'm sure, but the thought is utilizing that process.
Yes, I never tried it, but I definitely heard that before because you got a lot of theories going around and a lot of information about the place. So it's good to like kind of discuss these things and debunk certain things or endorse or prove certain things so that we know, okay, yes, this is true. No, this is nonsense. But yes, thank you for that. Now let's talk a little bit about burnout. How does better sleep prevent burnout, right? And what specific sleep practices do you advocate in corporate, especially your corporate wellness programs?
Yeah. So burnout is something that is definitely on the rise, and there are a lot of different things that contribute to burnout. It really is a lack of capacity to handle additional things and stressors and a buildup of stress that decrease your faculties and your facilities to deal with it. And not getting enough sleep fundamentally also decreases your ability to manage stress and lowers your bandwidth for a lot of different things, leading to burnout. And so focusing on sleep helps not only with your stress load, but your emotional regulation and your emotional capacity to deal with additional stressors. I like to say, like, when you go throughout your day, you have these buildup of stressors, right, that occur. We just all deal with them from small to big things. And then you go to sleep and those things wash away. Your emotional control centers communicate with your regulatory centers. The debris, so to speak, in your brain is washed away, and you kind of get to start over with a clean slate the next day. However, if you're not allocating enough time to sleep, then instead of going from full to empty, you're going from full to half full. So then the next day, you only have about half the amount of space or capacity to deal with the additional stressors. And then you only sleep a little bit the next night. Now you have a quarter of the amount of time. So you're just getting closer and closer to that burnout threshold because you're decreasing your capacity to deal with stressors that will likely inevitably come your way. So one of the most important ways to create resilience against burnout, and really we think about sleep too, it also helps you to change your perspective and literally look on the brighter side of things. So finding more positive aspects of a negative situation. There have been research studies that have been done on individuals who are well slept and underslept and found that those who sleep better are more likely to literally find the positive aspects of certain situations. So you're really bolstering and building your resilience when you're investing in your sleep. And so what I like to say is, number one, prioritizing sleep. I think particularly in the corporate space as busy professionals, I fell into this myself as I was, going through insomnia, my medical training. One of the first things we sacrifice is sleep, right? Because we have
It's
so
true.
much to do. We go
Yep.
throughout our days, we do all these things, and we have to binge watch our favorite show because we don't feel like we've had enough me time. And then we leave whatever time is left over for sleep. And what we
Yes,
don't realize is we're actually becoming worse at all the other roles that we play when we're not getting enough sleep.
it's
So it really
true.
starts with reframing that and saying, I'm going to use my sleep as my me time. I'm going to use that as a way to indulge in some self care and to build up resilience against these stressors that I will inevitably face. So, starting your day with sleep in mind, something that I do, and I think that other people have more of an ability to do this than they realize, is I know that I need 9 hours of sleep. That is how I function
Right.
optimally. That's how I wake up as my best. So when I'm planning my day, this 9 hour block is already set aside for sleep. I'm sleeping from this time to this time, and then everything else has to fall in line around that, as opposed to trying
Right.
to fit in sleep in the midst of other things, because we our duties will swell to fill the time that we give them. We will find a way to fill the time with all the things we have to do if we don't set aside the time that we need to sleep, right? So just like you
Right.
set aside the time that you're going to work, if you had to work for 8 hours, you're not going to be like, well, if I make it to 8 hours after all the other things I have to do. No, you know that you're going to be working from this time to this time.
Exactly.
Same thing should go for sleep. And what people realize once they start doing that is they become so much more efficient and better at doing what they do during the day that they actually need less time to do it and they perform better. So prioritizing sleep, starting with sleep in mind, looking at it as an investment in yourself and an investment in who you want to be and how you want to show up in all of your roles the following day.
Right. Right. I think that's important. We do set, well, for me, I would try to set a bedtime, but then it gets a little bit closer. I'll stay up for another half an hour or so. So I guess prioritizing sleep is important. But like you say, we feel like that is the one thing that we sacrifice on because we can. And really, oh, well, I got this to do and I need to finish this and that kind of thing. So we do sacrifice our sleep, and we think, okay, well, maybe I'll get some more sleep tomorrow, or I get some more sleep over the weekend. No, I remember, slightly off topic, but I remember there was a study um, done, and there was this guy who stayed up for, I don't, you probably know about this. This guy, he stayed up for, how long was it? It's like, right. And when he finally went to sleep, they thought that he was gonna sleep for a really long time, but I think he only slept for like maybe a day and some or something like that. Because when he's hungry, he needs to go to the bathroom. So he actually, there was no way to recover all of the sleep that he lost, and that was a big lesson for me. So there's no way possibly to recover the sleep that you lose. So you might as well try to take it when you got it, because you
Exactly.
can't make up for it. It's
Exactly. Exactly. There's no such thing as making up for lost sleep. All the functions that sleep would have had for that day, for that night, gone. You can't make
mm-hmm,
up.
mm-hmm. So what are the biggest challenges that you face when educating people about the importance of sleep? Now, we already spoke about one of them. We thinking that we're so busy that we get to sacrifice sleep, right? But and then how do you overcome these obstacles?
Yeah, so I would say that's the biggest one. I think a lot of people that I come into contact with have this mindset that they have to earn sleep. So if I work hard enough, if I get enough done, then I can kind of reward myself with sleep. And so I really try to work on that mindset, saying that there's nothing that you have to do to earn sleep. You just, by virtue of existing, you deserve to sleep, and you deserve this, whatever your sleep need is. If that's 9 hours, you deserve 9 hours. It's not something that is earned, or like, oh no, that's too long, I don't get to do this. You get to do it. And so a lot of what I do around sleep is really the mindset piece. People understanding that you deserve to sleep, that it should not be one of the things that you sacrifice. And I think what really hits home for people when I make the connection between how they function the next day and how they sleep, because oftentimes they're sacrificing sleep so they can do more, but then helping them to see that you're actually doing less and you're doing it worse where you're not getting enough sleep. So if I have a really big day ahead of me and I have a lot going on, I'm going to make sure that I really focus and prioritize my sleep even more, because who I want to be tomorrow is dependent on how I'm sleeping tonight. And so sacrificing it is really not the answer. So
It's
a
true.
lot of work that I do is around that mindset piece, helping people understand you deserve it, you don't have to earn it. And also your ultimate goal is to do better and be better and accomplish more. And you really do need sleep to get there.
Yeah, and yes, at first I was like, really? Oh, do people think sleep is a reward? But you're right, because when I think about it for myself, Fridays are like the days where we're like, yeah, we resting, we, so it's like we sacrifice all through the week because that's the work week. But then when Friday come, it's like, yep, I can shut down early, I'm gonna get a nice long shower, read a book, relax, that kind of thing. That we get in that relaxation mood only on Fridays and over the weekend, and not really prioritize relaxation at the end of the day during the week. And you're right, that is a mindset thing. That is it's almost like, yeah, I worked the whole week, so now I get to reward myself with rest.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. And that is how a lot of people view it.
That wow, yeah, that's a light bulb moment for me. Could you give examples of how you tailor sleep solutions to individual needs, especially in a corporate separate setting specifically?
Yeah. So, like I said, everyone is a little bit different. And what I like to start with, especially in the corporate settings, one, it depends on how you work. So, whether you're working remotely or from the office or you work night shifts, the way that we set up things for your sleep is really going to be dependent on that. So, let's say you work remotely, because that's a lot of work I do is with individuals who work remotely. It's really about, first of all, setting a schedule, because oftentimes people kind of free flow until whenever their first meeting starts. That's when they start their day, and then they work all through the evening and night, and there is no cutoff or boundaries between work life and home life. So we start by setting up a schedule. What's going to be your work day? When do you start? When do you finish, and that needs to be consistent from day to day. Getting some natural light exposure is also super important. So if you're working in an office space, does it have windows? If not, can you be in a space that has windows so you get natural light exposure, or at least start your day by getting in a 10 to 15-minute walk, because that light exposure is going to be one of the best ways to reinforce your circadian rhythm. We try to set up timing of the activity, so meal times, breaks throughout the day, consistency with that, because that also helps to reinforce their circadian rhythm and to sync everything to their master clocks. Stress management is super important. So a lot of people feel so stressed throughout the day, and then at night they're trying to scramble to figure out how to decrease all the stress that they've built up. But there are ways you can strategically decrease the stress load throughout the day. So giving yourself more time in the morning so you're not starting with rushing to get to your first meeting and increasing those stress hormones. Scheduling 5 to 10 minute breaks throughout your day every hour and a half has actually been shown to decrease stress, anxiety, and decrease decision fatigue. Putting things throughout your day that you enjoy so that you don't feel like you've gone throughout the whole day doing things for everybody else, and now the nighttime is the only time you have to yourself, so you're more likely to engage in what we call revenge bedtime procrastination, because
Yes.
now this is your me time.
Doom
Sprinkling things
scrolling.
throughout your day that you enjoy, that you like, that you can look forward to, that bring you some kind of joy, so now you don't feel like, oh, now the nighttime is my only time that I'm able to do this. Having a space that is 100% for work, and having home 100% from home for home, so that your brain can make that mental separation. You're actually shutting down. Having
Right.
an end of work routine that signals to your brain that we're now transitioning from work to home. Again, doing something enjoyable in your afternoon, so you're not feeling like you need to do that at night, and making
Right.
your normal activities a little bit more enjoyable, so that is something that you look forward to. Establishing a consistent bedtime routine is super important. And I
Mm-hmm.
say one of the most underrated tips when it comes to getting better sleep for adults is having time that you're setting aside to have your brain and body make that transition from the stress and anxiety of the day to the night. And again, is
Right.
another way to inject some of that me time. So make it indulgence, make it something you look forward to. And then, of course, setting up your sleep space in a way that is conducive to sleep. So for the average
Mm.
person, again, it's going to look a little bit different from person to person, but we try to make sure we tailor these plans for what works best for them.
Oh, understood. That was a lot, but I think that yeah, if we sit down and pretty much I guess we'll do time blocking for certain things, then we'll be able to at least achieve some sort of schedule that will work for us. Um, and when it comes to those who work remotely, then how do they do the disconnect from work, and but no, it's home even though you're still home?
Yeah, yeah. So it's really the biggest thing is about finding a space in your home that is just for work. So ideally, it's a whole separate room like your office. But even if it's not, maybe it's a corner of your dining room table, and that is where you sit to do your work. And when work is over, you leave work there, and you step into a separate part of your space, and you don't mix the two. Even if you have to go back, and let's say you forgot to send an email or something else you have to do, you go back to that same space at the end of that dining room table, you do it there, and then you leave.
Yeah.
So there's a physical separation. And then again, what can be helpful is having an end of workday routine. So for most of us, when we were going to the office, that was literally physically leaving the office, commuting home. That was a signal to our brain that our work is over. But we don't have that. We can give ourselves that. So maybe that's shutting things down, going for a walk around the block, putting on a certain song, lighting a certain fragrance, something that
Mm.
triggers our brain to connect this activity or this routine with work being over and now transitioning into home life.
So, are there any tools or technologies you recommend that can help monitor or probably even help improve sleep for individuals, or anything that you and do you recommend using technology? Because I mean, we have technology all over the place.
I think technology can be helpful if used the right way. So I personally have a ring, an Aura ring that I like to use. And I think it can be helpful to track your sleep and the global big picture of your sleep. So what are your sleep habits? Are you going to sleep at the same time? Are you waking up at the same time? How are things like having alcohol before bed contributing to your sleep? If you are if you are exposed to a lot more light or you're on your phone later, how's that affecting your sleep? Just kind of this global big picture of your habits, I think can be super helpful. For some individuals, though, they get so caught up in the nitty gritty details of it that it
Yeah,
can cause a little bit more anxiety surrounding sleep. So, like the
yeah.
sleep scores can be overwhelming, or they're like, oh, I only spent 15% of time in REM sleep. and things like that. Which these sleep trackers are not super great at the sleep stages, so I always recommend to kind of ignore that in general. So I think I would recommend using it for a global view of trends and habits, but not get so caught up in all the details that it makes you a little more anxious.
Yeah. And I saw that Instagram has was it like a quiet mode now that you could set like the time. So like it and it usually tells you, okay, I think mine is like either 10 or 11. It's like, okay, going into quiet mode in 10 minutes. So like it alerts me like, okay, yeah, just lay off of it. Sometimes I do tell it to ignore it, but like I like that the different programs have something like that that you could implement and like all these smartphones as well. Like you could set it, you could set times within there that you want to have your sleep hours at, and then it could like automatically go into like quiet mode for you. Um, so there are other technologies that you could use as well that could help kind of yeah quiet it down for you at night, so that you could train yourself to just like get out of that, responding to messages or the doom scrolling, or even just putting your phone down and doing something else. um, what marketing strategies have proven effective, for you for promoting your sleep wellness programs to corporate clients?
I do a lot of marketing and outreach through LinkedIn, and that's through content creation. So I find that I'm able to connect with individuals just through my content because so many people are struggling with sleep issues. But I always say when it comes to sleep, people tend to struggle in silence and they
Right.
assume that sleep struggles are inevitable because they're adults who are working and maybe they have children. And so of course they're not going to be able to sleep. And there are not many people talking about it. So I think when people see someone else talking about their struggles and they relate to it, it's something that they can connect with and
Yes.
then dive a little bit deeper to investigate some of the other ways that we can work together. I also come in and work with organizations on a larger scale
Mm-hmm.
just to educate their workforce on the importance of sleep and how attaining that regularly can improve productivity and performance, which of course is important to the organization. But then individuals, will hear me speak and say like, hey, I'm also struggling on an individual level. How can I help myself improve sleep? So it's kind of through both of those ways through content creation, but also working with these organizations on the larger scale to help the global workforce understand the importance of getting good sleep.
Yes, I came across your profile on LinkedIn actually, and I was like, wait, this is somebody who specializes in sleep. What? This is I love this. So then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna reach out to you. And then you also wrote a book. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I have a book called Sleeping on the Job, Proven Strategies to Optimize Workplace Performance and Personal Well-being Through Better Sleep. And I wrote that to help individuals at the level of where they are in the workplace. So much of what we do and how we work impacts how we sleep, and then how we sleep impacts how we work. So there's this strong bi-directional relationship that you can't really separate when it comes to talking about sleep. When a lot of people talk about sleep, they talk about it just with what you do at night, but there's so much that occurs during the day and how you work in your work life that impacts your sleep. So I wanted to speak to people from that lens and from that point of view, and from the aspect of different work situations. So again, there's a whole chapter on remote work. There's a night shift. There's a rotating shift, because all of those things are going to look a bit different in terms of how you are setting up your day and night for better sleep, traveling for work, and all those things. So I really put in so many strategies and so many specific things specific to your work situation and how that can help your sleep, but then also help people to understand how what happens during sleep is impacting how they're showing up and how they are at work. And so it just really aligns with the work that I'm doing already. But I wanted to meet people where they were and give them some easy things that they can implement right in their workplace or workspace to help improve their sleep.
Awesome. So sleeping on a job, and we can find that on Amazon. Is it Amazon?
Yeah, on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, other bookstores, but Amazon is probably the easiest and most accessible.
Okay, awesome. So if you're interested, listeners, in getting your hands on this book, then you can check out Amazon. What I'll do is I'll probably like put a link in the bio on the YouTube video, so people will be able to just click on it and go straight to where it is on Amazon, as opposed to searching for it themselves. So where do you see the field of sleep medicine heading in the next few years, and especially in relation to corporate health?
So, luckily, I think we are already a part of a turning tide of individuals understanding the importance of sleep. When I first started to talk about sleep, no one really wanted to listen, and everybody
Mm-hmm.
was still on the "I'll sleep when I die" train. And now I think individuals and companies are starting to understand that, oh, wait a minute, there's more to the sleeping. It's actually super important, which
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love. So I
Yes.
think hopefully we'll see more access to education, more specific tailored sleep solutions, more screenings for things like sleep disorders in the workplace, and again, meeting people where they live. And then hopefully more workplaces that are tailoring the workspace itself to better sleep. So office space setup, schedules that can be set up to help people sleep, because I think people are understanding that it is super important for the health and well-being of their employees. So I do think we'll get there. We definitely have a long ways to go, but we are turning tides a little bit. So I think it's an exciting time for the world of sleep.
Yeah, I think that some, I guess you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like some of those mega corporations in the US, um, like Google and like some other businesses have like breakout like break rooms with beds and that, and yes. So um I do see the changes over there when I see like the rooms and they feed, because they work long hours, so they provide like sleeping quarters and they provide meals and everything, and like I feel like that's like so amazing. But then on the flip side, I'm like, well, I'd rather be home in my bed, but I'm glad that you still provide new facilities. I don't want to live at work. I don't. But I, I do appreciate that the jobs might call for long hours, and therefore they facilitate, that staff could get the rest and the breaks and the nutrition and the nutrients that I need, while being at work. So I do see the shift in other countries. Um, um, and I think, well, one of my former workplaces they did have like a what I call like a sick room, but I guess it was for when he wasn't feeling well and he needs to get like a little lay down. But I suppose you could also get like a little half an hour nap if need be for some reason. But that's when I used to work at a newspaper, so the times at work was just long and varied and random, and you didn't know when you get to go home, especially if there's like a tragedy or some big news story that happened. So it was good that they had like a place where staff could get a little shut eye for a little bit, even though they were still at work. So what is the one piece of advice that you'd give our listeners, many of whom are women over 35, to immediately start improving their sleep? I know we spoke about having a schedule, we spoke about routines, we spoke about things that you could do just before you go to sleep that could help you get better sleep. We spoke about making sure that what you sleep on, your bed, your pillows, everything, that those are comfortable for you to get better sleep. Having sunshine, getting that in today, and maybe probably even looking at what you eat, because we didn't even talk about that. But is there anything that we missed? Do you think that we could add? And then one piece of advice for us, for women, to start having better sleep.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't think anything, there's so much that can be talked about with sleep. So I think we covered most of the big topics. One way that, and I think we covered this already, but I always like to leave with this because that is the way that I lead in with my clients and corporations that I work with, is again that mindset piece around sleep and understanding that you deserve to sleep, prioritizing sleep. One of my favorite quotes is, instead of asking myself, have I worked enough to deserve to rest? I started asking myself, have I rested enough to do my best work? And I think that really highlights the mindset that you should have when starting each and every day, is that rest comes first, filling your cup first, and then you'll be so much better in all the other roles that you play. So don't feel guilty for focusing on rest or prioritizing rest. You actually will be much better off in all the roles that you play and all the things you want to do when you start with rest first.
Listen, that is the perfect way to end this podcast. That's a perfect note. So don't think about do I deserve, like, I'll work enough to deserve rest, but rest enough so that I could, well, work and show up every day to like my full potential. And because that's what we want to do, right? We do, we don't want to kind of like, especially as an entrepreneur, you don't want to like just, I barely got enough to like make it through the day, but we want to show up and be our best, the best versions of ourselves. And so I implore everybody that's listening to like make sleep a big, important deal in your life. Like let's make it important. Let's like schedule it. We schedule time for all kinds of things. So let's schedule time to have really good sleep. No, I remember going out with my friends and I I will be upset. No, no, when she watches this, she will know that I'm speaking about her. We having our girls night, and my girl, one of my good friends, she just knocking out on the couch, you know. And maybe it could be that it was her, like bedtime, like normally that's when she goes to sleep, or it could be that she is just really really tired, so now it's gonna make me kind of, yeah, like, okay, okay, you need to get a little rest then. Maybe we do girls' night a little bit earlier. um, Maybe we do it during the day, so that we can make sure that we get our sleep. So if anybody wants to learn more and get in touch with you, if you could share your website and what platforms you're on, and then of course I'll add them to the video.
Yeah. So best way to connect with me is through my website, thesolutionissleep.com. I'm also on Instagram, the sleep_MD, LinkedIn, Dr. Holliday-Bell. But my website really has all of those things. So it's a centralized place. My book links are available there too as well. So thesolutionissleep.com. I'm always happy to connect and discuss further.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Holliday-Bell. It has been such a great discussion. I really do hope that we listen and we take this to, like, we have to, like, I think it's like such a habit, and it's a bad habit of having like the doom scrolling
Yeah.
and stuff at night, and we just kind of are slaves to it to some extent. So I mean, we do have to take a concerted effort to turn off the phone, put it far, turn it on, put it on silent or something, um, and or put it far away from you. Maybe if you want to leave it on ring for whatever reason, but just put it far, put it away from you, so that you can have that time really to rest and recover, so you could just tackle the next day head on, and you do feel better because I've tried it, and you
Yes.
do feel really better when you get up in the morning, and you just feel so revitalized and fresh and ready to take on the day. So thank you again. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us on another Wellness and Growth Journeys podcast. Now, if you're inspired to elevate your health and wellness business, the Wellness Growth Agency is here to guide you. We specialize in tailored digital marketing strategies to enhance your client engagement, grow your practice, and improve overall satisfaction. Let's unlock the potential of your business together. Visit us at wellnessgrowthagency.com to learn more, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more insightful episodes. Until next time, keep thriving, and remember, wellness is a journey. Growth is the destination.